5 months ago, this car turned up on the back of a transporter. I bought it without seeing it. I took a gamble. The current owner told me that it wasn't running. So it could have been anything, could have been the electronics, could have been absolutely anything. But as it turned out, it was just a flat battery. But I didn't know that until it arrived here. The only thing that gave me great concern when it was offloaded was the sound of the engine, which was apparently piston slap. And that got better. So as the engine warms up, it gets quieter, and it's not such an issue. To be honest with you, don't even notice it. Wow, springtime at last. It's time to wake this 2011 MGZR from its winter slumber, which I have to say has gone on forever. And time to just give a quick check over it and see how it is. You probably just noticed my first ever car that I just took out, which was my Rally go-kart, which my mum bought me in 1967. And technically that was my first set of wheels. I can't believe here we are all these years later and I've still got it. I've had some work done on it. That got me all around the streets of South London. One of the first things I'm going to tell you as an update is that I managed to get the registration sorted out. Now, just to clarify, the car was built in 2005, it turns out, but for some reason it was put on an 04 plate. So 2 days literally before MG Rover went into administration. It technically makes it, I guess, one of the last few MGZRs built. I don't know much else about it other than the fact that this car sat around and was not registered new until 2011. When Swansea registered it, they put it on what they call a period number plate, a 2004 registration. On going through the documentation from the previous owner, I discovered a certificate, and the certificate was from the MG Owners Club, who have all the build details for MG Rover. They inherited them all. And the build certificate said it was actually built 2 days before the factory closed in 2005. So technically this shouldn't be on an 04 plate at the very least, so it should be on an 05 plate. I took this up with Swansea, and after lots of correspondence I basically got the car put onto an 05 registration. However, bearing in mind I'd already had this insured and was using it every day. Everything was great. So I rang up my insurance company and I said to them, look, I've now got this car registered on a 2005 plate, expecting a kind of maybe £10–20 admin charge, which I thought was fine. I'd given them the details in their little drop down boxes. What it didn't allow them was for a 2005 MGZR Plus. So immediately they said, we can't insure your car anymore because up until 2004 we agree it was an MGZR Plus. Now it's 2005, our drop down boxes don't recognise an MGZR Plus. So immediately uninsured me on the spot. So I was left with a car effectively after ringing around loads of other insurance companies who wouldn't insure the car for the same reasons. So it begs the question, why? This car was built in 2005, the documentation proves that, but the insurance company said, nah, we're not having that. Our computer says no. So the Plus thing seemed to be a bit of an issue, so watch out for that. Anyway, it's time to give it a quick look round. It's been in the garage most of the winter, so technically it's quite dry. But I just want to check a few things. I mean, already noticed the clock on the dash, which was working absolutely perfectly before, isn't, so I need to take a look at that. Believe it or not, I've actually been quite looking forward to getting this out and about back on the road. These are like little go-karts. They really are like little go-karts. In the last few days of production, this car was built and then the factory closed. It's all given a little bit more of a story to go with this car.
Well, one of the things I got done was the badge on the back of the car. Now, trying to get hold of these big 90mm badges is difficult, as I'm sure many of you know. That's for the Mark II ZR and the Mark II ZS. One clever chap has done this, a sticker, and it goes over the original badge. What you do is you take off the metal plate or the metal logo that MG put on there, and you literally peel that off very carefully, because otherwise you end up damaging the outer bit here. And then you put in his new badge into place. It comes pre-sticky on the back. You literally just peel off the paper and it goes in, and that, I have to say, is the nearest I've seen to the original MG Rover badges produced back in the day. And I've done this for both this, the ZR, and my ZS 180, and I think, and I'm sure you'll agree, it looks absolutely fantastic. All I've got to do now is get a little bit of paintwork done, a little bit of rust. Look at that. Of course, for anyone owning an MG, in particular the later ones, these Mark IIs, you'll be aware that they kind of let in a bit of water, especially back here in the boot. And what to do about that? I mean, I've gone through and I've put new seals on the lights to try and stop the water, which I think it has to a certain extent. I mean, there was one time when I first bought this, it was literally just full of water, and I had to dry it all out. Then someone suggested to me, why don't you get one of them dehumidifiers? I went and got one, and I have to say it's kept quite dry inside now. And I'll get the camera, I'm going to let it get focus, but you will see it works. Look at that. Water. So as I said, this is a kind of quick overhaul check, ready to get the ZR back on the road and go for a little spin, hopefully. Some of the work I've been doing on the car has also included under the bonnet, and you can see here I finally got round to changing the expansion tank. Very, very grotty underneath. I mean, look at that. That was really bugging me, because some of you may remember from the previous videos that I've done on this, when I first got it, I swore the head gasket had gone. So I was looking at getting a brand new one, a replacement, which you can get, but the cost of them was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we're talking around about 80 quid for a new one, because this is the Mark II, and this has got like a little sensor underneath. This was a good example of giving the parts place the registration of this car. And when the original one of these turned up brand new, which I got for about 25-30 quid, which I thought was a bargain, I couldn't use it. It turned out that because I'd given them the registration, they put it in their parts because it was listed as an 04. And of course they sent me what was right. It was an 04. But this car being built in April 2005, it was different. It was fitted with this little sensor, which you can see just down here. So that had to go back. And I did a bit of research, and to cut a long story short, found one on eBay and got this for about 40 quid. You compare that to this, the old one. Wow, what a difference that makes. Look at that. I also managed to get one of these off eBay. Just these, because they go, again, they all curl up and just go brittle with age. And just little things like that, I think, make all the difference to the car. Last year, one of the other jobs I decided to do was to replace the top part of the dash. Basically, the couple of clips had broken underneath and it kept squeaking and coming apart. So I had a look around, managed to get another one, which came with a clock, which was quite handy because the clock that was in there wasn't working either. I was lucky enough that the clock looked like new when I put it in. I guess like most things over the winter period, things start to deteriorate on a car if they're not used every day. I've started using it again, and my clock isn't working. So I'm going to replace that today. I'm going to take the top part of the unit out and send it off. I'm going to send the clock off because there's someone on Facebook that keeps popping up on one of the groups that says they repair the clock. So I'm going to send it off to them, and hopefully it will be fixed forevermore. The clips underneath, there's two clips up here, one that side, and there's two clips down this end, and if I remember rightly, it kind of pushes in that way. So I'm always nervous about taking trim out for obvious reasons, in that I don't want to end up doing more damage. But if I want to get the clock sorted, I've got no choice. So what I'm going to try and do is go this side. And I'm using these plastic tools. These are quite handy because obviously not being metal, they shouldn't do too much damage. Well, that's the plan. But it's just finding the right section to go in. Now you can see that already lifting up there. But as I said, if it's pushing down this way, because I've pushed it in to fix it that way, then logic says I've got to start up here, doesn't it? So let's see. Oh, that could be the one. Let's try that one. Let's try that side. So I'll just try this top end. So once I get one out, we should be on our way. Yeah, as I said, once I get one out, we should be on our way. So let's just go back down this end, shall we? And see if we can go in from this side. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. If I hear a big crack, I'm going to scream. So in the end, I got my hand behind here between the gap and just lifted it up. God willing, the cracks, the clips are all in place still. And look at this. Oh, that came out like that. And hopefully nothing is broken. No, clips still look okay. So now I'm sure some of you watching this will be saying, why is he doing it like that? You don't want to be doing that. All you've got to do is get your hands behind the back and pull it. Well, look, it's all about learning, isn't it? Having a car like this. We're not all mechanics or body trim fitters. So, unfortunately, learning by your mistakes. That's out. So all we've got to do now is the cables that connect the clock. And she's out. Phew. There you go. Cable disconnected. And there we have it. The top part to our dash disconnected. Clock off to get repaired, and we now have no top part of the middle of the dash. Well, while I'm waiting for the clock to be repaired and sent back, and checked out a couple of other things on the car, I've decided to take to the wheels an old favourite of mine.
How did I do this when I was a kid?